Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tate for the annual monthly stream as we go through everything we watched in April 2025. Yes, it's almost May the 9th, but it's been a very busy week. You've moved. You are in a new home. I don't want to call it a new home. That sounds terrible. Sounds like you're not. You've moved. Yeah. We've had The Last of Us. We've had Andor. We've had the 10-year anniversary on the channel. So we've kind of been very belated with this, especially with people in the comments asking us for when we're going to do what we watched. But before we get into any of this stuff, Tate, how are we doing today?
Yeah, doing good. If people have watched the anniversary video, you'd understand that I have a brand new setup and stuff like that. I have moved places post my winter season. And yeah, it's pretty nice digs. So a lot better internet speed as well, which I'm very glad for. And it's meant that I've got back into the habit of going to cinemas. I've renewed my Cineworld card and I've already made use of it. But I guess that will come into it a little bit this month, a lot more next month when we talk about films, because of course we're 9 days in already. And that means I've already seen some films from this month.
I've seen one film this month, but you know what's wild? I've seen 3 films last month. I have been watching some TV. April's been a really weird month. I just don't have much recollection of. I log everything on Airbox, but I'm like, work's been that busy. I was like, I don't understand. Not like why I've not watched films. I think I've just been detoxing. And it was WrestleMania weekend, and I did have a few things on. So I can talk about some filmy things.
Well, I think it's it might be just the kind of post-Oscar hangover / it's TV season
Easter,
at the moment.
Bank holidays as well. Yeah,
that's the one.
TV season's the better one. Like it's also like I know we'll talk about it later. Andor is 3 episodes a week. That's a film a week, which you should be able to log that. I know there's a TV version of Letterboxd. I will never join it. I think I did join it, but I can never fill out because it'd be going on for an eternity. But yeah, there's a lot of TV. I was reading about the Emmys this week. I didn't realize Emmy qualifying is May 31st, so that's why I clocked that Last of Us and everything's starting now and finishing in May, because they want them to be as fresh as they can for the voters for nominations. We've done the Emmys before on here. Like, it's a very weird ceremony because it's normally in like the summer. I think it's the summer, or it's like September time. So it's not really in typical like award season. But there was one year they did it when it was delayed due to the strikes. That was it. But we are going to be talking everything we've seen. People watching at home, as always, we do want to hear from you. So please comment with what you've watched this month, whether it's films, TV shows, things you're looking forward to, things you're looking forward to in May. We're heading into blockbuster season. It's going to be absolutely packed. I took a look at the schedule the other day. We've got Mission Impossible coming on the. So this is really weird. Mission Impossible releases in the UK on officially Wednesday, the 21st of May. The UK premieres next Thursday, the 15th. They're synchronizing it, showing it around the country on Thursday, the 15th. Okay, so that's basically a release date. They're then doing a really cool thing for deaf people where every Cineworld View and one of the other chains is going to show Final Reckoning, before its release date for deaf people, which I think is a really cool initiative. That's also the 19th. And then they're doing early IMAX previews on the 19th. And then they're doing more early previews on the 20th. So whilst it says Mission Impossible is coming out on the 21st of May, there's like a fucking million. Like, I've got a ticket to go next Thursday to watch it at my nearest IMAX for the regional premiere. If we're going to a press screening, that's going to be Wednesday night. So it's like, if I don't go on Wednesday night, I'm seeing on Thursday, so I don't care. Which is so weird. And obviously Tom Cruise is fully on the marketing train now. But yeah, people get involved. May is going to be busy. Lilo and Stitch is coming out, which I think is good. No one's talking about it, but it's going to be, I think, one of the biggest films of the year.
I don't.
Families are going to be watching that across the whole summer.
It's going to be big in America. I don't think the Lilo and Stitch hype is as big in the UK, and that's just my own kind of. I may be so far off the mark here, but I just don't think it's as big of like an IP as some of the other live action films they've done. I feel like the live action films have lost a lot of credibility from Snow White recently, and just the various different projects which have just completely failed off the mark. You've got Moana coming out next year. That will be popular. Or is that this year, the live action one?
Next year. I think it's either. I think it's next year.
End of this year or next year. But
it'll be. Yeah.
That's going to be massive. But the fact that they've put all of their live action kind of productions or brand new productions on hold until you see how Lilo and Stitch and Moana 2 or Moana live action does. I just don't think that Lilo and Stitch is going to perform well. I think people are going to go and watch other films available at the time, or they're just not going to go and watch it. UK wise, it may do very, very well in America. It may do very, very well globally. I just don't think the UK market's going to.
Oh yeah, it'll be huge globally. That's what I mean. I want Mission Impossible to hit $1 billion. I don't think it will. I would love it to, and I think they've nailed the release. I think they've nailed the IMAX, because they didn't get IMAX on the last one because our Barbenheimer was like a week after. And I know that Tom Cruise hasn't fallen to that Paramount over it. Tom Cruise was proven right. The film didn't perform financially. They gave it May, not July for this year. They got full IMAX locked in for, I want to say, like 3-4 weeks. Like, they're using IMAX aspect ratio. So Mission Impossible, if it's going to do well, which I think it will, it's going to have legs, which I think it can. Whereas, again, part 1, it came out like a couple of days after Indiana Jones and a couple of days before Barbie and Oppenheimer, and it was caught in a crossfire. That wasn't Tom Cruise's fault. Paramount chose not to listen to Tom Cruise, and, the rest is history. He's now at Warner Brothers. This is his last Paramount film under contract. So I'm obviously excited for that. I know that's not an April film, that's a May one. I haven't actually rewatched any of the Mission Impossible films. I'm just going to rewatch part 1, I think, before part 2. I don't need to rewatch, even though it is going to tie, I think, all 8 together. I just think you only need to rewatch part 1, if I'm completely honest. But
yeah, it makes sense.
If I kickstart with what I've been watching this month,
go for
because my list is extremely short. I've got 3 films across 4 showings. It unfortunately began on the 3rd of April with an early screening of a Minecraft movie, and I maintain it was quite comfortably one of the worst ones I've ever seen in my life. This was before it was a meme. I will not be watching it now, it's a meme, but I sat there in a cinema with 10 people. And the only reason I wanted to go was I wasn't going to do a press screening. I was like, I've never played Minecraft. I know what it's about. I know what you do on it. But I've got no lore, no YouTube videos, nothing like that. I was like, this looks terrible, so I'm just going to get it out the way on a Thursday rather than work it around a weekend. There are about 4 teenagers, probably like late teenagers or early 20s age. And they were doing what would become the meme. He said chicken jockey, they shouted chicken jockey, and I just sat there. Still, like, there was 10 people, so I think another few people scattered, like, what the fuck's going on, the same as me. And I was just sat there, like, not like, is my generation past this? I would then obviously go on to see what happened over the weekend. I was like, was there, like, Generation Alpha have some coordinated meme attack? Like, would this have been me 10 years ago?
All TikTok. It's brain rot, and it makes
that's what it is.
It makes you look back and realize that if the Emoji Movie was released today, that would do very well financially, and it would probably have a similar effect. It's
do you remember Gentle Minions?
Gentle Minions, all of these various different trends of, like, brain rot content. I'm not on TikTok. The furthest I'll go is Instagram Reels, but even then, I'm aware of TikTok culture. I'm aware of all of that goes on. And yeah,
we grew up with we're the last generation. This is really old man
outdoors. Oh God, you make us seem so old.
I think, like, judging off my cousins who are only like 5-6 years younger and the generations below, we would have to go outside to play with each other. We didn't have PlayStation age of. We had a PlayStation when we were kids, but we didn't have PlayStation Online. We didn't have online gaming. We didn't have party chat. We're the same age group at school, right? And I would quite comfortably say the technology was moving as we were getting, I don't want to say older, but COD, which was one of the big ones for online, COD 5 felt like the first massive one. That was 2008. We were in year 8.
Yeah.
And it just felt like every year became more seismic into the move into online. And by the time we're in like year 10, 11, I wasn't going outside playing the park. Like, I was getting fat playing at home. But year 6, 7, 8, I was playing football every day with everyone still. And I don't think the generations have that. Not to sound like a weirdo. If I'm going out for a walk, like on my lunch break, so I'm going after work or whatever, not like, oh, there's no one in the park. That sounds really noncy. But it's like, there'd be like 20, 30 people playing football with each other. And I'm not saying, oh, you don't see it anymore. Like, I live in quite like a modern, big estate. So, there would be, but, everyone's online. Everyone's on Fortnite for the kids. Yeah. I remember Fortnite when it was just one map.
Yeah.
Now I don't even know what. I see Star Wars trailers for Fortnite, and I'm like, what?
They've shown full movies. They've had concerts in there and stuff like
They
that.
showed the Star Wars animated show. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
They showed the fucking Star Wars animated show last week. Christopher Nolan had to have Tenet trailers premiering on Fortnite.
But it's all content driven kind of stuff to engage the new generation. And I mean, Cineworld announced that they would be doing they call it block party screenings for the Minecraft movie, which are screenings where you're allowed to like make noise and shout. They care if you make a lot of mess, but like they're not explicitly saying, yeah, don't make mess. It's one of those weird gray areas where they're like, make some mess, but like, you know, you can shout at the screen and do the meme stuff for it. It's ways that, dare I say, sadly, if it becomes popular in that strain, we're going to see a lot more kinds of films coming out like that. We're going to see a lot more screenings like that. If it saves cinema in that sense, if it's a new kind of style of cinema where you're allowed discussions in cinemas and stuff like that, and that gets people on board, as long as there's clear definitions, it's fine. But when it crosses over, like you said, you went to go to a normal screening, you have people shouting at the screen. That's shit for everyone. Like that's not you know, that's not what cinema is about. You can do that if you watch it at home when it goes on home release and shit like that. Unless there's like a dedicated screening for it, then that's fine. Like there are so many different dedicated screenings that you've already talked about. You've got, you know, deaf only screenings and stuff like that, or ones for people who are deaf. There are autism friendly screenings on at pretty much every single cinema nowadays. You've got screenings for the elderly, you've got screenings for just young people. There are so many different screening types. As long as it gets defined as that, then it's fine. But all of the commotion, all of the social media stuff from the entire film of like cinemas getting shut down because people are literally throwing popcorn at the screen and jumping up and making such a thing. You could do it at the Prince Charles with spoons for, you know, the room, but you can't really do it in a normal screening elsewhere.
I don't think the meme generation would want to be told you come to the screening for memes only either. Like I reckon they'd have been half empty. Yeah. Which kind of defeats the purpose. And they were like, no, you cannot throw popcorn, which fundamentally, yes, like anyone that's doing that was like a prick. But if you tell kids don't throw popcorn, they will. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think it was as bad here in regards to that stuff compared to America. But atrocious. Like, again, on top of it, it's a terrible film. Like it's not funny bad, it's bad. Like, and it's the highest risk film of the year. And until something please outgrosses it, it's a poster in our background. But moving on to something so much better. On the 18th, I watched Sinners in IMAX. So I was meant to watch Warfare twice, and I didn't. I missed the press screen. They did regional press screenings, which was nice. But unfortunately, it was the same day. I had a family event, so I had to cancel. Then I was like, okay, Warfare's out at the same time as Sinners. I'm going to do them back to back. It's bank holiday. It's Easter weekend. Perfect. And they basically got to release date, and I was reading so many great things about Sinners. I didn't go to the press screening. I couldn't get the time of work. I saw, I don't know if you've seen the 10-minute video that Ryan Coogler's done about Kodak and the shooting technology. He's basically done a Nolan. So the film's been shot on IMAX, but there's this 10-minute video going on about the different formats, how he shot it, how you can watch it, how it captures it, what it's like to film. It's really incredible. And I remember watching that, and I was like, yeah, I'm not watching. I can't be the guy that goes on about going to IMAX and then not watch the one film shot in IMAX this year. Like, it was shot on 70mm IMAX. First film since Oppenheimer to do so. And obviously, the only place showing it on film here is the BFI, which I'm not going to lie, I wasn't paying £25 for on a bank holiday weekend to go cinema. I do it for Nolan, but not on like a normal day. And I was like, okay, I'll go watch Sinners in IMAX, and it was worth it. The film's incredible. I'm so delighted at its box office run because it's like on track to be one of the highest grossing original films in like a decade or something, I read. It's shot wonderfully. It's got a great cast. I think Ryan Coogler's cemented himself now as one of the directing greats. And I'm going to put the comparison in, which is not enough for doing, which is to Nolan, that he is becoming one of the very few directors that the franchise is himself. You can put his name on the posters. People are now starting to go for him. I don't think there is many at all that can get that anymore, and he continues to do so. So I loved Sinners. I was gutted I couldn't do Warfare same day because when it's IMAX, obviously it's like a set time on loop, and I just couldn't make them both happen. And then my cinema decided, that's it, we're not showing Warfare after a week. So I didn't get to see Warfare. I saw Sinners. I then, the following week, went to the Revenge of the Sith re-release. I was fuming they weren't showing it in IMAX when the tickets went on sale. And then after that Sinners moment, I was like, I'm kind of with IMAX. Like, you can't... I love Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I want to see it in IMAX. You can't kick out Sinners for Revenge of the Sith. I get it now. Like, I'm with it. That's fine. The BFI put one screening on, which was at 11:30 at night on a Saturday, which no one could get home from. So I didn't go to that. But I did 4DX with a group of friends. It was fucking mental. I then went the next day with my sisters, which I didn't think was going to happen. They wanted to go. And I really said, like, are you sure about this? Are you really sure about this? And they had an experience for themselves. So they're my only films for the month. TV wise, though, Last of Us. I don't know much to say because we're doing it weekly, but I can't even remember how much to show in April. Andor returned in April, which has been amazing so far. We'll plug last night's stream, joined by Clarice Lockery, Charlie Ashby. Obviously, 3 of the most insane episodes. We weren't doing spoilers because this isn't that video, but it was a 2-hour discussion talking like history, the industry, media representation. It's a wonderful discussion. Those 3 episodes in particular, I basically ended up saying this will be the Emmy nominations for Star Wars. Is these 3 episodes are going to be between the 3 of them? They'll submit them for all the categories, which I hope it does well with. And
unless it kicks up again, that's the. If it gets better,
if they can do that the next 3, fair play. But I did watch a lot of wrestling because it was WrestleMania this month. WrestleMania hype. I started watching our matches. Like, maybe that's why I don't watch as many films, because WrestleMania weekend, a 4-hour show on night 1 and a 4-hour show on night 2, and it wasn't as good this year. They fucked the ending up, but it's the social side. It's seeing, watching friends, all that. I was lucky to be in London on night 1. I was at a Michael Giacchino event. Turns out he's recording Fantastic Four at Abbey Road. So they basically chucked on like a little... It's basically a glorified meet and greet, but I got loads of nice cool stuff signed. But he played some music from the Fantastic Four score, not like performing it, but he had permission from Kevin Feige to play a track he'd recorded in the week, which was very cool. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to Fantastic Four. I am as well. Michael Giacchino clearly is. And I think his music's going to be a really big part in that film's identity. But all in all, with me, a very quiet month.
Interesting. I mean, Warfare I'm going to talk about next month because I saw it this month. So can't really talk about here. What I will say is, just as a baseline, it's a very good film, very, very good sound design, and very good tension builder. But I'll talk about it a little bit more in depth next month. I guess 2
questions. Sorry, one more.
Yes.
Sorry, bring up Michael. What do they do for the autism-friendly screenings? Okay, I don't have autism, so I can't say I've been to one. My understanding is Cineworld put the screenings on, so it's more of a safe environment for people or children with autism to go to the screening. Obviously, different levels of
lower sound and lower lighting, isn't it? So it's not as bright.
Not...
The what's it called? It's tuned up to be kind of more vibrant, but it's dimmer, if that makes sense, which is weird to say. Yeah, so no massive white light, but a lot of more vibrant light, and then it's also quieter, or a little bit quieter, and also it's in an autism-friendly environment, so everyone in the screening is going to be either someone who's caring after someone who's autistic or autistic. So it's just a kind of really nice, kind of friendly open space.
Yeah. The second one, didn't get why you can see Warfare. I couldn't get a double bill to work with Sinners, and then the Saturday and Sunday was WrestleMania weekend, and then I was back to work, and it was out of cinemas. It really agrees with me with films like Cineworld, right? And this is the problem with... I'm not calling Warfare an independent film. It's clearly not a blockbuster. It's like a traditional... Alex Garland's films are very much like the high end of an independent drama, if you want to call it that. Even though if it's got commercial backing, it sits in a weird hybrid between like an old B movie. I think it's 94 minutes long runtime.
It's very short.
Yeah, and I know it's set with the Iraq War based on real events, and the cinemas just stopped showing after a few days.
Pretty much set in real time as well.
I've had that too. Like it follows the events, and yeah, just this is the problem with Cineworld. Like it won't be just them; it'll be others, but they'll show it twice a day, and it'll be like 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. on a weekday. And I'm like, how many people can get to 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. on normal weekdays? Like, it's really frustrating when cinemas do that. And then it was kind of wiped out for Star Wars, really. Like, Star Wars gross, I mean, to be fair, $50 million on a re-release, the second ever biggest re-release financially, and they had to pull it out after 1 week because they needed, obviously, Thunderbolts. But sorry, back over to you.
Yes. So we move on to this month. I guess I start with episode 3. Went to go see Star Wars in the cinema. Always a fun thing to go and do. Very, very interestingly, was the fact that it was my first 4DX experience. And I feel like maybe it was one of the worst films to do it in. I mean, the opening segments, the opening sequences were fine. But having your chair violently shake every single time a lightsaber hits something, or every single time a blaster goes off, is overkill. And it's not making good use of it. It's like, why on earth would they do that? Like, you've got enough like flying and various different things in the film that you don't need those juddering and stuff like that. Like,
you can't have it. You can't have it. This is I get it. The problem is it can't be still.
Correct.
It can't only be mad on action. But the weirdest ones are when you've got a dialogue scene, someone will step somewhere and you'll sense like the tiniest of vibrations. Yeah. But it is Revenge of the Sith compared to Phantom Menace. I definitely sense they turned it up on Revenge of the Sith, like the scenes that wouldn't have been done. And I wonder, is it we can't have it just not having anything for? You'd get it as some scenes with nothing. Like again, it'd be like when Anakin and reunites with Padme, she's pregnant. I'm probably sure there was like no move. You've just had like a deranged 30 minutes being thrown and tossed around, and then you get like a subtle 4 or 5 minutes of nothing, and then you just go again.
Yeah. It was. I mean, here's the thing. I love the film, so it was fine. But at the same time, I feel like it was not the best film that I could have gone and watched it with. Like, I feel like if I'm going to do 4DX again, I've got to pick the right film. It'll probably end up being F1 or something like that, which the acceleration alone would be good enough, and the kind of leaning as the cars go around, that would make sense. But I would also want to watch the film normally as well. That's kind of the payoff here. It's one of those where if I enjoy the film, I kind of want to watch it as normal, and then I go back and watch the experience in 4DX if I enjoy watching it normally. But we'll see. We will see. Apart from that, let's go into my month. I'm actually going to start with TV before going into film, because I watched an awful lot of TV this month. So I'm going to go over the TV which I couldn't have logged on Letterboxd, it was Doctor Who's 20th anniversary since the revival. So I've been watching back through a lot of Doctor Who. To say how far back through Doctor Who I've gone, I've just completed the Waters of Mars episode. So I'm pretty much almost to the end of my David Tennant run. And that's been my just general throw in the background TV show. I've seen it all before. Like, it's just a refresher reminder to go back through the entire series. And of course, we've also got, the latest series of Doctor Who that's been out, which I want to just go ahead and say has actually been excellent so far. The first episode got off to a rocky start. But since then, it's been on par with the best episodes of last season. So it's been chugging along, has been doing very well. Now, Doctor Who is always a touchy subject, and I want to grab Aaron back on the channel at some point, because I feel like we need to have a proper like detox / kind of rundown, debrief, whatever, about this series at some stage, especially because rumors floating around the show's being cancelled once again, and rumors floating around that Disney are pulling their funding for it, and rumors floating around that BBC don't want to pick it up again, and rumors floating around that Shooty's leaving the show, and rumors floating around that Russell T Davies is leaving the show. So many rumors, and it's something that's plagued Doctor Who ever since the beginning. And it's something that's so tiresome now that the show can't stand on its own two legs, even if it's putting out good content, good episodes, and it is always popular when it comes back. It doesn't need to be cancelled before it to reinvigorate the popularity in the show, just to have a revival, just to have it bring it back, especially when we're only 2 series into the next stage, the next revival part. Like they called the series kind of ended when David Tennant came back for the second time and did his final 3 episodes, handed the baton over to Ncuti, and now when you go onto BBC iPlayer, when you go onto Disney Plus or wherever you're watching it, there's a definite separation between the classic Doctor Who, the new era Doctor Who, and then the most recent era of Doctor Who. It's a clearly defined point. So the fact that we've only got 2 series in and they're already going in with the guns of cancel it, when actually the show's performing very well as far as what the content is coming out. The overnight ratings have gone down, but that's what happens when you release it so that people can watch it at 8 o'clock in the morning in the UK or midnight in America, whatever the hell they're doing at the moment. I'm waking up on Saturdays. I'm like, oh, I can just go watch the episode instead of waiting to, watch it on a scheduled TV slot like I used to. And that's really sad. Like it's so sad that they've lost that kind of community behind it. And sure, they're putting the final 2 episodes in cinemas. But at that point, I
just don't get why. I'm not a doctor. Oh no, I'm not saying I'm not a fan. That's really unfair. I'm not saying I'm grown out Doctor Who. I just currently don't watch Doctor Who. That's probably the better way. I'm familiar with Doctor Who. I go to conventions. I see the news pieces. I know who's playing the Doctor, etc., etc. So there's a background in Who, but a very limited background in Doctor Who.
I mean,
to release the episodes online on Disney Plus at midnight US time, to then essentially force, and I know the money is mainly Disney money now, and I get that. It would always air at 5:30 in the evening here? 'Cause when I was younger, I remember always being on before
It used to be 6:30 or 7:30, depending on whether it was a scary episode or just a family-friendly episode.
And I just don't understand that. Why don't they just put it to 12 p.m. on a Saturday for Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Why does it need to be 12 a.m. midnight for Disney Plus? Why can't it be 12 p.m. lunchtime on a Saturday? Because it could still air in the UK traditionally on BBC and then go online. But even if it does go online, everyone's still going to choose to obviously watch it, which is fine, and I get that. But from an outside perspective, again, who sees the rumours, some of the rumours, not all of them. I know you know way more. But I'm just sort of sat there Disney did do a 2-year contract with specials. And then that conversation turned into the whole streaming ridiculousness of Disney. I mentioned the Michael Giacchino event earlier. Even he was criticizing them because obviously he directed 12 by Night, which was very cool. I like the special presentations, they call them at Marvel. He was saying, Disney want to do it. Well, not Disney. Studios wanted to do everything online, everything for their streaming services. And then overnight, it wasn't let's do less. Overnight, it was the money's not there. Let's just stop. And it's like a cut-off supply chain thing. I have somewhat of a concern that, again, I don't watch it. I don't know the rumors. If it's cancelled, I'm not surprised. If it stays, I'm not surprised. What I think the problem there is Disney have built up Doctor Who to have this normality of we're going to get 2 seasons in 2 years and no shows get that anymore. Now Doctor Who's going to go towards the abyss that everything else is in we're going to have to wait till the series is out to decide if we get another season. Then we'll greenlight that, and it'll be another year before it films. And then suddenly you've got 2-3 year gaps between seasons. My biggest criticism of the entire industry, okay, there's loads of criticisms of the industry, but the ridiculous one I have is, why have they allowed 2-year gap between seasons to be a thing? Now, I understand strikes. I understand all of that, so I don't really count some of it as much. But this peculiar norm now of, why can't we have a show in production back to back? Look at Slow Horses. 4 seasons in 2.5-3 years. They've just wrapped an additional 2 seasons. It's 6-episode blocks, but why can't other streaming services? Apple, Severance was stuck in development hell, fine, but Silo seems to be every year. Like Apple seems switched on with the TV shows, but I don't understand now this very peculiar. Let's wait until way after, because as a viewer, if I know there's an uncertain future for a show, I'm just not going to watch it. I don't. If they say there will be a second season, great, I'll watch it. But I think Netflix have opened the door to all that, where they just cancel the show after like a day.
Yeah. And speaking of Netflix, that's the next show I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a Netflix show. I'm going to talk about Black Mirror first, because I've been a fan of Black Mirror for a long time now. And this is probably the best season to come out since, I'd say, the first, maybe second season it's been on Netflix. We're on season 7 now. It's been out for a long time. And there are such large gaps between the series. But Black Mirror always captures me because it's dark sci-fi. I love dark sci-fi. And it's anthology, so different stories. However, this time, for the first time, they had a kind of ish sequel in the shape of Plaything, which follows Peter Capaldi in a very dark story about kind of life and sentient kind of intelligence on the computers and stuff like that. And we also had a direct sequel to an episode with USS Callister into Infinity, which was one of the kind of highest rated episodes of the show, with stars like Jesse Plemons, Christian Mielotti, and a bunch of other people. In that. What's the name of? He's one of the McPoyles from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's
not seen it. Sorry.
I've
seen clips of the show, but I couldn't tell you who is who.
He's such a good actor. He was also in the first series, or I didn't watch past the first series of that HBO show, Westworld. But yes, no, good series. They had guest stars like Paul Giamatti, Chris O'Dowd, Emma Corrin absolutely shines in one of the episodes, Hotel Riviera. But overall, every episode I didn't hate, which is always a good sign for a series. Gave us 6 individual, very unique, very different stories, and explored different areas of sci-fi. Some of them kind of relaying, going back over the same thing over and over again. But yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you want some breaking Black Mirror news?
Yes, I would like some breaking Black Mirror news.
Black Mirror Bandersnatch is being removed from Netflix permanently from Monday.
I did hear about that yesterday.
Oh, okay, it's not that breaking. Sorry, I just saw it now. It popped through.
Yeah, that's interesting because that was a Netflix original. That's very interesting, and I guess that comes into the whole thing of anything on Netflix or anything on streaming sites you don't own. They can take that away at any point. That's why physical media is still one of the things that you want to kind of aim for and strive for in various different things. But also, something that's interesting is Black Mirror Bandersnatch, which is a play-your-own-adventure episode. It's crazy because Bandersnatch, you've now got Plaything. Bandersnatch was the original. Plaything's basically a 1.5 stepping stone for it. Why on earth would they remove that as a thing that you can just naturally go and get? I don't actually quite get it. It wouldn't even be a licensing issue. It's a Netflix-owned property. Why are they removing it?
I remember when Bandersnatch came out, it was one of them things where like everyone was talking about it. Like you couldn't hide from it. It was this, it's going to change everything. And then I remember they sort of tried something similar, not Black Mirror, but the Giancarlo Esposito did that show on New Year's Eve. I remember one year very depressingly watching it because I forgot to do the screeners.
Also, what's it called? Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt did a play your own episode thing as well. They tested it with a few things.
Yeah, and like Netflix tried to make it their own thing, and they're just I can't stand them. It's hypocritical because they've changed the industry, but I saw their CEO came out recently and said that like we've saved cinemas, and he doesn't say it as a joke. He's deluded himself into thinking, okay, and my Netflix subscription is basically resting at the moment, and it's free with our Sky account. Like whenever I see these Netflix acts, like 150 million people watch this show on Netflix, I'm sat there like, you're the biggest streaming service. Pretty much everyone has it by default, and without getting into the science and slagging off siblings, I don't want to moan about algorithms because it makes me sound like a sort of a crackpot. But people are just watching what the homepage is telling them to watch, and it's always Netflix original stuff, and I'm so tired of it. And the problem I had with that, it isn't just Netflix, is that people just have the fucking will or intelligence to go look for something to watch themselves. They're just being fed what's on screen, and Netflix is like, great, we got a view. What was the view? Well, it auto played 5 seconds when they hovered over it, so it counts. It's not a view.
No.
When they're like, oh yeah, our film would have made like $1 billion in the box office. No, it wouldn't have. Who's talking about the electric state now?
People are talking about it, but for all the wrong reasons. Like,
no one's talking about it anymore. It came in. The
10 people who watched it say it's going to win a bunch of Razzies. So
but a $320 million film, that one of the most expensive ever made in history. No one's talking about it a month after. And I won't slag off the Russos too much because they're like an easy target these days. My personal opinion on them is their track record outside of the Avengers wasn't great film-wise. Marvel's track record, that's fine, but like I wouldn't say they've hit the heights of before.
No, absolutely not.
And if you look at a Nolan and a Ryan Coogler, for a current example of Sinners, you do your superhero, your blockbusters, your Marvel films, and then you go do your own original stuff, and it can work because you've built an audience who like you because of what you've done. And the Russos is like, no, you need to go back to Marvel, but in parallel, Marvel need you guys back. So I am excited for next year, but yeah, it's just the whole streaming formulas are just frustrating is an understatement.
I agree. Now I've got to go and praise Netflix because Netflix did Adolescence, and Adolescence is the best TV show of the year. It's one of the best limited series TV shows I've ever seen, and disappointing that we go from kind of slagging them off to shit, you made Adolescence, and Adolescence is phenomenal. And everyone's still talking about Adolescence, and that's been out for almost a month. It's they've opened it up so it's going to be showed in schools, and I think it should. I really think it should. It's absolutely phenomenal from an acting standpoint. I mean, talk about young actors. Probably one of the best young acting performances I've ever seen in Owen Cooper. Genuinely, one of the best young acting performances I've ever seen across all 4 episodes. And then Stephen Graham, just a phenomenal actor. Who needs to be recognized on a bigger stage. I mean, sure, he's been in, he's been in big movies before, he's been in big TV shows before. But my God, like if this doesn't put him on the map as far as a writing perspective is concerned as well, then I don't know what would. But absolutely just phenomenal. Every single individual episode of that show, phenomenal. 4 episodes, they're all about an hour and a bit long each. All filmed to make it look like it's one shot, done by the same guy who did Boiling Point.
Philip Barantini.
Yeah.
Follows us on Twitter.
Yeah, he does.
Star of Band of Brothers.
That's the one. Absolutely. I cannot give more praise to it. I straight up cannot give more praise to a show. I know it's a limited series. I know Letterboxd is kind of, should be films only and stuff like that. It is at the top of my watched for the entire year, as in the highest rating thing that I've seen this year. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I wish I'd saw it kind of before the hype came into it so that I could have we could have put a review up on the channel or something like that. But my word, I'm so glad that I actually kind of sat down, took my time. You can't do more than 1 episode in one go. It's such heavy subject matter. It's such gripping TV. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Cannot recommend higher.
So I've not seen it. I know a lot about it. I think I'm not gonna how do I say this rightly. I think it's just not a show. It sounds really arrogant, so I don't need to see. I'm very aware of current goings-ons with the younger generation, so I'm comfortable to skip it because I'm very aware of what the subject matter is, and I'm fine with what.
Aside from the subject matter, I do
like
it
from a technical standpoint,
from a filmography standpoint, from an acting standpoint as well. Even if you can't get on board with the storyline itself, just for purely to watch it for the acting and purely to watch it for the cinematography and the filmmaking behind it, I would honestly recommend.
So I love Boiling Point as well. So it's something I might get around to watching sometime this year. Don't mean to yawn. I know that Faye Marcy's in it, who's obviously in Andor. So there's some connections going on there. And I'm sure when it gets around to next year's TV BAFTAs, it will dominate the British side of it because it's pretty much British production. And as in these sorts of shows, I don't want to compare it to that. Very different.
Honestly,
what's the Postman one from last year with I didn't watch it. Like,
oh, Mr.
the Royal Mail stuff.
Bates, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. That was really good as well, but that was nowhere near the standard of this.
But what I kind of mean with that is like the cultural impact after is like, again, I'm not some like weirdo sat online that's like zoned in, but it's like I'd known about the Postman stuff the whole time, but no one else wanted to report on it. Like this is a very different conversation now, but like this is more of a rant on the Postman thing. That shit was out there for everyone to see, and there's articles all the time that people chose to ignore, that chose not to read. The fact it took a fucking TV show for the common folk and politicians to realise, these guys got fucked over badly. I hate that, and
I only watched that TV show because I had no idea about it because I hadn't done any research, and that's exactly what you've gone and said. Like there was the research, the things were out there to go and watch it. I just wanted.
It's a bit different view. You're not a politician. Like,
no.
Like, if you knew... I don't know a postmaster, by the way, but it's like... That was out there for people. And if you didn't read it, that's fine. But politicians should know that because there'd have been people in their constituents who have been, probably about a different conversation. But I mean, that I know they're completely different shows, completely different cast, story, subject matter, everything. But without having seen it, Addison reminds me of like this year's version of that, where it's like, what did Britain get on the go?
But dare I say, this is a different case. This is absolutely different level. I've watched Andor this month as well. I've seen the Andor episodes, and honestly, the last 3 episodes, some of the best Star Wars content I've ever seen, some of the best TV content I've seen in a long time. But I'll be perfectly honest, those 4 episodes of Adolescence eclipse anything that I've seen this year in any sort of media. It leaves you absolutely startled at the end of every single episode, not from the revelations, but just from everything involved, like the slow build, the process, all of it. Every single episode targets something new, and to watch those performances played out on screen, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But on the same kind of level, moving away from TV slightly, I think I've talked about every TV show. I've watched The Last of Us as well. I'm up to date with The Last of Us. But on the same topic as people watching information to get kind of information for real world events, I rewatched Conclave this month because when I got home, my parents were like, we haven't seen Conclave. We should probably watch Conclave before the Pope. No, this was after the Pope had died, which is really funny because, of course, as of this moment, we have a new Pope. The new Pope watches films and watched Conclave before going into the Conclave because he had no idea.
Apparently, a lot of them did. Like I was reading that apparently a shit ton of them saw it, which I kind of think is hilarious in a really like non-horror way. Like
it's so funny.
it's going to become like every time we get a new Pope, Conclave is going to be watched by the masses.
What's even funnier is Conclave would have probably won Best Picture if the Pope had died during the Oscar campaign. Yeah. Knowing this now, it probably would have won Best Picture. I know it was one of the kind of the key ones that would have possibly won Best Picture, and realistically, it came down to it versus Andor. Like in certain categories, and that's what swayed it. But at the same time, hilariously, no one's really talking about Andor anymore. Everyone's still talking about Conclave. Like Conclave is the talk of the town, but that's because of real world events affecting it and influencing it. But I still find it hilarious because, I mean, real world events, I'll always, keep a hot kind of, button on it and stuff like that. I also watched the IPL in India, and that's been suspended because of what's going on over there at the moment. But with Conclave, what's really, really interesting, I mean, personally, I think is the guy who's been elected Pope was not considered a favorite. He was outside the top 10. He went and watched Conclave, and now he's Pope. Like, we have no idea what level of backstabbing is going on behind doors. We're not going to get into religious politics at all. I just think it's quite funny that you have a film that kind of goes into kind of the process of what happens and stuff like that. It also has a bit of kind of Game of Thrones-esque kind of political sabotage, backstabbing and stuff like that goes on within the film. Suddenly you end up with a Pope who's outside of the top 10 as far as, who was predicted to come in.
From Chicago.
From Chicago. White Sox fan as well.
Well, I've seen a lot of CM Punk memes in the last few days. When the Pope came on the balcony, they put CM Punk's theme on. Because it's like the second city saint, they call him. It's weird that Chicago is classified as America's second city. Like,
I know.
I know here they call it Manchester, but like,
I thought Birmingham was the second city in the UK.
oh, maybe it is. It's Birmingham or Manchester, but I'm kind of sat there like, America's so fucking huge. You don't need a second city. Like, you'd be the second city in the States. Whereas the UK makes sense to have that
I think
conversation.
when they say second city, I'm assuming it's some kind of old wartimey thing of if the city falls, that's the city that becomes the capital kind of thing.
I think it's a combination of something like that, but
and then just over time, it's just kind of gained a second meaning or something like that. Beyond that,
yeah, I think it's like the second most important place. So I think it looks at like,
but the most,
not like
the most,
population,
the
but like
absolute
money going in.
most, the absolute most important thing that the film Conclave has done is it's allowed the new Pope to watch it, but also because he's been elected and he's anti-Trump, that's a good thing. So,
is he?
yeah,
he
was shutting down JD Vance in the days before the Pope died. Like he was all over him on Twitter.
That's probably why
he was elected to combat and fight on the American front. Anyway, let's move away from religious politics and all of that. Let's talk about Mickey 17, a film that has absolutely no politics in it at all. I really enjoyed Mickey 17, but also it wasn't one of my favorite Bong Joon-ho's. There are like 3 or 4 films from him that I prefer, especially because I've seen, I can never get the title right, Memories of Murder, and, you know, of course, the one with the ice train.
Parasite?
I can never forget. Parasite, of course, but also...
I know what you mean.
Snowpiercer. Yeah, you've named 4 films that I actually prefer over Mickey 17.
It's fine.
I enjoyed.
Good.
He's fine in it. He plays.
You can tell.
Yeah,
you can tell it's like. I'm not saying a studio film. You can tell it's like got some sort of studio backing that we want to put this message in, and we kind of are, but we're not doing it properly because we can't do it the way we want to fully do it. It's like that.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was another film I watched. I got 2 more kind of rewatches. Needed just a film to throw in the background. Madagascar came up. I haven't actually fully watched the Madagascar franchise. I've never seen. I've seen Escape to Africa once. I've never seen Europe's Most Wanted, which I've heard is apparently quite a fun film in the kind of meme-esque kind of way over time. And I haven't seen the Penguins film as well. I don't know if I'm going to go that far down the rabbit hole. The first film's fine. The animation does not hold up. It's very janky, and I'm actually surprised from DreamWorks. But that was just a film that I just threw on. And Final Destination 1, which I will probably go through all of them before I go and see Bloodlines. Whether I go and see Bloodlines in the cinema or not, I'm kind of up in the air about. Depends whether I can get through the films before then or not. I'm not a big horror fan. I like to watch horror in my own environment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really want to go again and experience horror films in the cinema unless it's like not a jump scare horror film. I mean, it's gore, isn't it? It's not really jump scare Final Destination, but
I saw the marketing truck today. Have you seen it? Where they've got like lorries on the motorway going round, and they, you know, the wooden, what are they called?
Logs.
The logs.
Final Destination 2. That's going to be my next one on the list. Yeah.
They've put the logs on a lorry. And it's a marketing lorry, so you drive around the side. It says Final Destination. That's the fucking best bit of our marketing I've seen all year.
It's traumatized an entire generation. Like you don't drive behind logging trucks. You don't drive behind like any sort of scaffolding truck or anything like that. The other films never captured that. Like, the first film, like I'll get on a plane, it's fine. Like I will go on roller coasters. I will go watch. I think the 4th film was Cars. I'll drive across a bridge. I will. This film's going to be like some kind of like Seattle Tower kind of collapse. I'll go onto high buildings. That log truck thing, that was real, and I still, whenever I go past them, because you go past them quite a lot in Austria, I will never sit behind one for very long at all. I will keep my distance, and I will make sure I am well out of shot of them. But that's just a thing. That's probably the biggest influence on kind of, you know, film that franchise has had, just traumatizing the entire generation from log trucks. But I'm glad to hear that's how they're marketing the film. That's great. I have no idea if the film's going to be good or not. Who knows? But you know,
I think there's a screening tonight. They're showing I don't know. Is there 7 or 8 of them? There's a lot of them, isn't there?
There's 5. You've
Well,
got
they're showing the last one.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then the final destination was the last one, I think.
They're doing a double bill at Cineworld tonight where you get to watch the new one early, but you have to watch one with it from before.
Okay.
Maybe it's the most recent one or the original one. I don't know. I've not.
It'll be
I've never
whichever
actually
one.
seen.
People
I've
should
never
watch,
seen
anyway.
them properly. I definitely saw a couple of them. You know, when you're at school, right? And you have those horror films that everyone watches at school. I'd seen a couple of the Final Destination films, but I couldn't tell you which ones I've seen. But if I was watching it, I would know what one it was.
I've seen compilations of the deaths on YouTube. There was a phase where everyone was throwing them up on YouTube and stuff like that. So, yeah, I've seen all of that. And then finally, a film that's changed its name since it came out. That's always an interesting one. Thunderbolts, or New Avengers, or whatever they're calling it now. Like, I don't even know if that's a spoiler or not, because I mean, I swear to God, that's just that's their public marketing at this point. I haven't seen whether they've changed the name of like people going to watch it in the cinemas as it is now the New Avengers or not. But at the same time, my God, like, can we talk about that? Can we talk about the fact they changed their marketing? Because that's ridiculous. That's ludicrous. Like, I've never seen a film do that before.
It's clearly so intentional for them to do that. Like, from day one, they put the asterisk in. And from day one, they basically said the asterisk will mean something. I do not like the fact they officially changed after day 3 because I was away last Thursday. I came back Saturday afternoon. I watched it Sunday morning because I woke up early. If I'd have missed it on Sunday, I'd have gone on Monday and it would have been spoilt because they'd have announced it by then. And its numbers are fine it's opened with. And I think it does earn the title New Avengers. I really do believe that. If you call the film New Avengers from day 0, everyone would moan about what the team is. They would moan that that is the New Avengers, even though the context of New Avengers is clearly for Doomsday next year.
I really don't think that the marketing for the film to change the film title works even slightly. I think it works as long as you don't actually change the title. You just say, oh, the asterisk means something. And then you look at the end and it's like, oh, these guys are now the New Avengers now that they have formed.
But that's what it does when you're watching it. But now it's the real key is going to be the box office this weekend about getting boring into numbers, because if there is an insane drop off from last week, all that shows is that even after calling it Avengers, people didn't care and didn't go. If it holds to an okay percentage, then they'll say the marketing gimmick worked. The problem is dickheads spoil stuff for everyone before films come out, which then leads to a question of, okay, so what does security actually do at red carpets? Because when they're posting spoilers,
I saw I knew it was the New Avengers before they even announced it. Like, even before I saw the film, because someone went to a press screening and leaked it.
I texted a friend who went to the UK premiere and I said, listen, I'm going to be away when it comes out. It is going to get spoiled, no matter how much I try. So just tell me what the asterisk means. Which is kind of good, right? Because I never ever asked for spoilers. But I was sat there, I did want to know out of curiosity. Because China had put on the poster in English for some reason when the Avengers not available. They put that as the asterisk. I was like, that can't be it, because that sounds ridiculous. But the New Avengers idea I love. And again, like, obviously that second credit scene's for Doomsday, but we know next year when Doomsday kicks off, this New Avengers team, it's not quite the Avengers, but they are, their context of we are the New Avengers. I like that because obviously, like, in the comics, you get like Young Avengers, you get New Avengers, you get Dark Avengers, you get all these different Avenger types. I like what they did, but I still think it's too early to be telling everyone what it meant. It's a cool little gag, like, you know how Falcon and Winter Soldier ended, and it was like Falcon and Captain America. No, sorry, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. They never changed the name of that on all the Blu-rays, everything. Like, but I get there wasn't an asterisk in play, but I updated our channel thumbnails because also the video wasn't doing well, and I was like, "Fuck it!" Like, let's just like see if it does anything because I get a nicer wallpaper. Views went up a little bit. Slapped a straw out, put both titles in there. It's doing all right. So it's a weird one. I think I'm just gonna call it New Avengers to everyone, because if I'm trying to sell it to my family, but if let's say my parents wanted to go, which they don't, I'd be like, there's New Avengers film out. That's going to sell them more than Thunderbolts. Yeah. And again, I get why they didn't call it New Avengers from day one, because that would have put way too much hype and expectation on the film too.
Yeah, makes sense. But I enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
If that counts for anything, I enjoyed the film. It is quite funny. The New Avengers is 3 super soldiers and a Black Widow and a guy who can't use his powers, otherwise he goes evil. But
he's the most overpowered person in the MCU. He's basically a god, which is a great speech. Oh, and the director of Thunderbolts today, the murmurs are he's in talks to direct the X-Men film.
Interesting. That's good.
Jake Schreer's the name. I can't remember his surname.
What's it called?
But,
Schreier?
I would be very curious at that.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out in a year's time when Doomsday is about to come out. It's filming now. It's going to be quite something.
Next up, we've got Fantastic Four, First Steps. Can't wait as well.
That's going to be massive. That film is going to be huge.
Yes,
but yeah, any of the films today? Sorry, I feel like I've.
That's it. No, I'm pretty sure I haven't missed any. Let me just very quickly go back onto my list because I've seen 2 films already this month, so it's a bit of a. Oh yes, there is 1 film. Oh, 2 films. Oh god, I've seen a few films. I completely skipped it. I went past Thunderbolts and said, "Oh, I rewatched Black Widow," and Black Widow was just once again not the best. It's a very film.
It's a Phase 2 film that came out for some reason in Phase 4.
Yeah, exactly. I rewatched The Big Short purely out of the fact that I just wanted to see a film with Aaron Sorkin writing, and I was like, yeah, sure, fuck it, Big Short. And then Chicago. I wanted to watch a musical, and I was like, haven't seen Chicago in a while. Let's watch Chicago. Still holds up. Great film. Did a bit of research into it, actually, because I'm obsessed with, Oscars and, voting and all that. I enjoy that entire season. Very, very interesting. John C. Reilly got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the film. And Richard Gere...
isn't it?
Yeah, he is Mr. Cellophane. Not a big role at all. Like a very, very small supporting actor role. Richard Gere, who you look at it one way, he is the lead male, but at the same time, he's not one of the lead characters. He could easily be supporting. Has never been nominated for an Oscar. Famous actor, famous name, always in films that, Oscar Beatty style films. Never been nominated. And the reason why is because he went for, they wanted to go for, I don't even know if it was his choice. It's never really clarified. They wanted to go for Best Actor for him. He didn't make the cut for Best Actor because that was the same year as Adrian Brody for The Pianist and a bunch of other really good performances. It was 2002. That was a stacked year. But yeah, apparently, he didn't get the nomination. If he'd gone for Best Supporting Actor, he probably would have won. So, very, very interesting fun fact about Chicago, which I did not know until rewatching. But yeah. That's all the films that I've seen this month, and TV shows as well. A lot of TV shows. TV shows, I think, are dying down after this month, hilariously. Yeah. We'll talk about the end of Andor. We'll talk about the end of The Last of Us. We'll talk about the end of Doctor Who. And then there's kind of a big old blank void on the TV show front. Don't think there's any Marvel coming out too soon. Ironheart's coming out in 40 days' time, isn't it? Without a trailer. Yeah, no trailer yet, or it's 60 days time. But it's I saw today a stat that it was the shortest amount of time that a trailer hasn't been released for a Marvel project yet.
I mean, Daredevil's finished, so I don't know why they would. Because I understand they don't like marketing.
I watched Daredevil as well. Daredevil's great. Ended on a bit of a really
weird one.
Yeah, just a dead note. Yeah, but
I saw the memes. Where's Spider-Man?
Where's any character? Let's be real here. I'm going to build an army. The army is literally just police officers and not a single hero. If they'd have shown Jessica Jones, if they'd have shown anyone, it would have been great. But no, apparently he builds an army and it's just, a couple of side characters and some police people. Not even a single other superhero, which would have built up so much hype for it of defending New York. But whatever,
I always said Thunderbolt spoiler. I won't do a spoiler. But that was another one of Spider-Man. But does that wrap up everything for us for this month?
That wraps up everything for the month.
Everybody at home, if you're not watching it live, thank you to those that have been commenting whilst we're live. Do let us know what you've been watching in April. Obviously, we're deep into May now. We've got new releases, as I said. It's been a very busy week on the channel. We're going to get some rest. Next week, as we said, there could be some Mission Impossible stuff going on. It's summer. What was the season? There'll be a lot more reviews. There's going to be Last of Us spoiler discussion on Monday. The Andor finale is next week as well. So there'll be a big discussion on that. There's going to be a few other things going on. So as always, if you want to find out what we're up to, the best way to find us is our social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky. We're on all of them. Linktree.com/cinemasavvy will put you through, and we're posting about what videos we're doing, so you can find us on there. But that is going to do it for us today. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.